He mentioned there was a person who I don't want to mention his name because I think that's what got his episode banned off my channel, or it's unsearchable now on YouTube if you search for our podcast we did together. There was a guy he mentioned on there who was very shadowy, who approached him and like became friends with him and his family, who was involved in many different agencies.
No, I know who you mean.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to this guy?
Yes.
What do you make of him?
I don't want to go there except to say that he's very sincere.
Just when you think things can't get any weirder, they do. Because in today's video, I'm going to be discussing a person who for the moment is going to remain mysterious, all right? But let me explain. So, in the latest episode of the Danny Jones podcast, he interviewed Whitley Strieber. Who's Whitley Strieber? Well, he wrote this book, right? It's about his experience with the phenomena, and it is widely regarded as the most popular book about a UFO abduction experience and potentially the UFO phenomena, period, right? Because it features that famous picture on the front, right, of a gray alien with the dark black eyes, and I gotta admit, it's very intimidating, right? But in this episode, they spoke about this mysterious person who I am going to reveal later in the video, but just pay attention. So let's watch this clip and you'll get the idea of what I'm talking about.
Also, there was a guy, I had another guy on here about a year ago named Chris Bledsoe.
I know Chris.
You know him?
Yeah.
He's
going to be on my show, Dreamland, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Super sweet guy. I loved him.
Yeah, he's a lovely, lovely man.
He mentioned there was a person who I don't want to mention his name because I think that's what got his episode banned off my channel, or it's unsearchable now on YouTube if you search for our podcast we did together. There was a guy he mentioned on there who was very shadowy, who approached him and like became friends with him and his family, who was involved in many different agencies.
No, I know who you mean.
Yeah. Have you ever talked to this guy?
Yes.
What do you make of him?
I don't want to go there except to say that he's very sincere.
Very sincere.
Very sincere, and I'm not sure he knows whether or not he's telling the truth.
You don't think he knows whether he's telling the truth?
Mm-mm. I think a lot of them don't. I think a lot of them are unintentional disinformation agents.
Yeah.
I think the visitors are heavily involved in all of those people, and they are controlling what they say. Mm-hmm. I don't think their minds are their own. You have to be very disciplined, and you have to know, you have to experience telepathy consciously in order to not fall victim to it. And it's very easy for these people to be parroting something the visitors are wanting them to say when, in fact, they think it's their own mind. Mm-hmm. And and I don't think the intelligence community is at all proficient in dealing with that. I wouldn't say I was proficient, but I do know when it's happening to me. I think I do, but I always tell myself, Whitley, be careful, because if you think you know, maybe that's when you don't know.
Right.
You know, so you have to be very careful. That's why when I talk, I try to only talk about things that have a definite memory. I don't like to speculate, because I think that opens my mind up to control. So I don't speculate.
Okay.
And I do not wish to be controlled, even by people who want me to say things I would like to say. Mm-hmm. I want to say it myself.
Right.
And so no speculation from me, or very little, as little as I can get away with.
So, who is this person? Well, I have covered him on the channel before, and I have named him on the channel before, right? And many other people have named him on the channel before, right? Let's take a look at this clip from a Jesse Michaels documentary from his YouTube channel, okay, phenomenal. It's about T. Townsend Brown. And in it, near the end, he brings up this mysterious person, okay? And he will get named. So let's watch the clip and come back, and then we'll discuss.
My last guest, Diana Pasulka, an incredible religious studies professor at UNC Wilmington, writes in her first book, American Cosmic, about a member of a secret space program she codenames Tyler.
It's Tyler, who's still a pseudonym for a person who is a mission controller and works in the Space Force.
I've personally protected Tyler's identity in every interview I've done until now because this show isn't about doxing people, it's about substantive ideas. But at this point, his name is literally all over the internet, even in interviews with close to 1 million views. So I'll just mention it because it leads to maybe the trippiest connection I've made in this whole Townsend Brown saga. Tyler, from Diana's book, is a NASA mission controller named Timothy Taylor. Taylor wrote an autobiography in March of 2003 called Launch Fever. Before anybody knew who Taylor was, in 2014, Townsend Brown's daughter, Linda, wrote a review of Taylor's book. She writes, "An engineer's first-hand experience of what it means to be a part of the space program. A charming legacy to his daughter and all of us." So what is Tim Taylor's connection with Townsend Brown? Well, the son of frequent UFO experiencer and personal friend of Tim Taylor's, Chris Bledsoe, had some interesting things to say about the topic on Twitter. He wrote that Tim Taylor personally told my father he was in an elite group called the Nassau Group, headed up by T. Townsend Brown. Also insinuated they had time travel technology. So what is Tim Taylor's connection with Townsend Brown? Was Brown the chief architect of a secret parallel space program?
So there you go. It's very interesting to me that Whitley is saying that this person, right, isn't in control of their own mind, their own thoughts, right? They're sort of being manipulated by the NHI, if you will. That's fascinating and something I had never heard about this gentleman, right? Because there's not much information out there, and the little that is, it's hard to corroborate. That's the right word, right? So we discuss as speculation, and everything in this video is all quote unquote alleged, right? Because I interviewed Science Bob McGuire, who is very close friends with Chris Bledsoe, and he had this to say about that mysterious person. Yeah, we were talking about Tim Taylor and Chris Bledsoe in that X space. We just didn't get to it yet, but you had mentioned that potentially they were somewhere working on something, and you think maybe Tim borrowed Chris's download and started a company, kind of like yours that you did.
I don't know whether I know this. Chris helped him with some medical stuff in Tim Taylor's laboratory. And subsequent to that, Taylor made a fortune, and Chris Bledsoe got none of it. The implications are pretty straightforward. I just don't have the final evidence to prove it.
Sure. Do you think Tim Taylor
broke off connection?
Oh, shortly after that, he just stopped talking to Chris Bledsoe.
Yeah, he stopped going to see him.
Wow. Like, kind of like, I got what I needed. Sort of thing.
That's my suspicious former intelligence person belief, but I don't have the evidence to prove it.
Yeah.
I just know that it's strange.
I agree. Do you think Tim Taylor gets downloads on his own?
Yes. Not in American Cosmic, Diana Pasulka describes Tim Taylor getting downloads. She calls him Tyler, but it's Tim Taylor.
Sure, yeah, it's Tim Taylor. Have you ever heard of, or is this like a regular occurrence that people will take someone else's download or the information they got from that download and sort of use it, or, you know what I mean? Can you intercept someone's download? Is that possible?
I have no idea, because I've never gotten anybody's and nobody's ever gotten mine. So that I know of, but maybe. I just don't know.
So again, there was no proof or evidence to confirm what Science Bob just brought up there, right? So I want to make that clear that this is all alleged, right? And without Chris Bledsoe coming forward to say it, it is hearsay up to this point. And, I don't know one way or the other. I'm sure there's always more to the story, right? But it is fascinating about this person who is, honestly, it goes deeper. And I'll put a link in the description to other videos I've made about him that you can find, right, that will explain his story a little bit better so you know. But basically, he is someone at the highest levels of NASA, right? And potentially still working with SpaceX and many other things, right? So the idea that this person is being, manipulated by non-human intelligence and working for our government is scary, if I'm being honest, right? So this revelation from Whitley is interesting, especially when he's like, I don't want to comment on it. And then he drops that bombshell commenting on it, right? And I get where Whitley's coming from. And honestly, go check out that full interview with Danny Jones. It's a phenomenal interview. It might be the best Whitley Strieber interview I've ever seen, to be honest with you. So they cover a lot. It's awesome. I'll put a link in the description. Please go check it out. But tell me in the comments, what do you think about this revelation? What do you think about this mysterious person? And how do you feel he connects into the phenomena? And what about Danny Jones mentioning that his episode is now unsearchable because of this name being mentioned? But why are other videos you can mention it and it's fine? I mention them in videos and it still comes up searchable. So I don't know about that. That's very interesting, and I would love to hear more and find out because, he works for the government. I think mentioning him should be not against the law, right? So that's very interesting, especially talking about in his capacity as a person working for the government. So, Tim, if you're watching this, that's all we're doing is discussing. Nothing, no hard feelings, but this is what this is about. And honestly, if anyone's trying to suppress that information, more people are going to want to know about it. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't ban a book because then everybody wants it. So, anyway, we're just here to discuss. It's all friendly, courteous, and we're just throwing out ideas and speculating about this topic that affects us all, right? A topic so profound it could change the way we view reality. All right, y'all. We'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace!
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.